guys, it's Elise and welcome back to my Cupcake Addiction. Now I just got back from the US and while I was there, I'm an absolute sucker for a Snickers bar. But I found this, the mother of all Snickers bars. And I thought, you know what? I want to make a Snickers bar bigger than this, but I want it to be an ice cream Snickers bar and I want to break it down to 4 ingredients. So that's what I've done. Today we're going to be making a 4-ingredient, no-bake, giant Snickers ice cream bar. Try and say that 5 times fast. To make your giant no-bake Snickers bar, you're going to need some unsalted peanuts, some milk chocolate. You'll need some cream. This is a whipping cream, so it's got about a 35% milk fat. You're also going to need 2 cans of canned caramel, or you can make your own, but it's kind of a little easier just to buy it canned. And you're going to need some kind of a tin, so I'm using a bar tin. You could use something like a loaf tin, but this is a great size and a great shape for a giant candy bar. Okay, so you want to put your top and fill or your caramel mixture into your mixer. I have been known to just hook into one of these jars with a spoon, but we'll just keep that between us. All right, so you want to give that one a good mix around just till it's sort of smooth and you've gotten rid of any of those lumps and bumps. And you can't overwhip this, so go for it. Now, once the lumps and bumps are out, you can start adding in your cream. So as soon as it's smooth, just start popping in the cream. Make sure that your cream is as cold as it can possibly be. You don't want it to be room temperature or even a little bit warm here. Yum. You want to make sure here that you're not over whipping your cream. So you're looking for the whisk or the beaters to start forming sort of soft peaks in there, but you don't want to go any further than that. That is looking perfect. It should kind of resemble like a light fluffy caramel mousse. All right, so from here it's as simple as just scooping it into your lined tin. So I've just lined mine with a little bit of baking paper or parchment paper. And you might have a little bit left depending on the size of your bar tin or your loaf tin. If you do, you can freeze it in little cups and have it as kind of like little individual desserts. Once it's full, give it a couple of really good hard taps down on the bench. And then I'm going to use just a spatula, or you can use a knife just to kind of smooth it off. So you want to cover that up with a little bit of plastic wrap and then we're going to pop it off into the freezer. You really want this to have about 6 hours or so to set because you want it set really frozen solid. So when that one is solidly frozen, you can just take a regular butter knife or a palette knife and just run it around the outside edges of your little bar tin and gently either lift or kind of drop it out onto a little bit of baking paper. You should have a pretty decently solid slab of delicious caramel ice cream. So now you want to take a spoon or even like an ice cream scoop and you just want to take out a well in the center, but you need to make sure that you're not taking that well over any of the edges because we don't want our caramel to spill out. This is going to create like a little pool for that caramel and those peanuts to sit inside. All right, so now your little ice cream bar should be nice and firm and make sure that you're keeping this in the freezer in between pretty much anything you do with it. You need it to stay frozen and as firm and as solid as possible. So now I'm going to put down a little bit of caramel in the center and that's kind of something for our peanuts to stick to. And then I'm going to put in however many peanuts you like. Now you can use crushed nuts here, but I know in the actual Snickers ice cream bars, they use real full-size peanuts. So I'm going to use real full-size peanuts. Perfect. Now once you've got those peanuts in there, you can put over some more of that caramel. And once again with your caramel, do just make sure that you've given it a little bit of a whisk or a beat with a fork just to get any of those major kind of lumps and stuff out of it. This caramel actually does not freeze. So you're not going to get a really, really thick, hard caramel in the middle of your Snickers bar. If you make your own caramel, depending on what sort of a consistency you bring it to, you can risk having it freeze like a really hard toffee in the middle, which is why I kind of like this canned caramel a bit better. Beautiful. Now I'm just going to round it out as best as I can because you kind of want like, I guess the sort of domed top or the semi-domed top that you get with a candy bar, a store-bought chocolate bar. But once again, try not to have it going over the edges too much. And then we're going to pop that back in the freezer for another hour. Whilst that caramel won't set super hard, it will firm up enough for us to cover this in its chocolate coating. So you do want to give it that hour in the freezer. So while your bar's freezing, before you get it out of the freezer, you want to have melted your chocolate. Now with your chocolate, they're all going to be different. It doesn't matter if you use a couverture or a compound here, but you do want to make sure that it's really, really nice and fluid. If you're finding your chocolate's melting a bit too thick, you can add either a bit of Kofa, Crisco or coconut oil to your chocolate to thin it down, but you want it to be a really, really nice kind of a runny consistency. Grab your bar out of the freezer. Don't do this before you're ready to start working with it. And because we've kind of had it in and out of the bar pan, it should just lift right out. Now, I would normally use a couple of cups for this, but because our ice cream is going to be a bit flexible, I don't want to do that here. So I'm going to tip the bar pan on its side like so, unwrap, our ice cream Snickers log and just place it straight down onto that bar pan. All right, now working quickly here, you want to pour your chocolate straight over the top, and I've also got a spatula which I'm going to use to kind of smooth it off as it's going on, but it's going to set really quickly. Pay special attention to the corners and also to the ends because they're going to need a little bit more to coat them. I'm pretty confident this could be the greatest thing I've ever made. All right, now working quickly because that's going to start to set really quickly on that frozen base. I'm just going to use that offset spatula to go on the sides. And if you've got any little spots where the chocolate hasn't quite got on, dip into your end little tiny bits and just neaten them up. This is probably the most stressful part of this bar, getting that chocolate on. Perfect. Now you want to stick it straight down onto your serving tray and then we can stick it back into the freezer until it's time to serve. So I'm just going to lift it up carefully. You want to get that baby off into the freezer for at least another hour before you're going to serve it and get it back in the freezer as quick as you can because it's ice cream and it's going to start to melt pretty fast. So when you cut your giant Snickers, you want to use a super hot knife. So dip your knife in some hot water, let it sit in the hot water for about 5 minutes because you really want to crack through that chocolate and you want a really nice clean cut. These are utterly amazing. One slice is not going to be enough, but we all know that with Snickers. So that's it. That is how you take 4 pretty simple ingredients and mesh them all together to make an amazing giant ice cream Snickers bar dessert. I hope you guys have loved this video. If you know somebody else who might love it, make sure you give it a share. Give it a like and let me know in the comments down below what you think of this dessert. Make sure you subscribe to my Cupcake Addiction for twice weekly videos, and as always, thanks very much for watching.